Welcome to this explainer on Project TERRA. Today we're unpacking a recently leaked, highly classified divine pitch document. It's an absolutely fascinating text that frames the entire creation of Earth and humanity itself like a chaotic, wildly over-budget tech startup. If you've ever wondered why human biology is so glitchy or why on Earth the platypus exists, you're going to love this.
So, let's take a quick look at this celestial boardroom agenda. We'll be walking through Project TERRA's initial specs, how they deployed the biosphere, human design flaws, the massive free will software update, the user experience, and finally, the ultimate purpose behind the whole shebang.
All right, Part 1. Project TERRA's initial specs, the hardware foundation.
We've got to start with the physical server specs of the planet itself. They codenamed it TERRA, but only after executive management firmly rejected the names Steven and Planet McPlanetface. Looking at this atmospheric mix, they went with 78% nitrogen and a pretty bold 21% oxygen. Now, the angelic QA department actually frantically warned against this. They literally referred to 21% oxygen as spicy air, and pointed out it would make the entire planet incredibly flammable.
But, you've got this visionary CEO actively ignoring safety warnings just to make sure natural selection had some dramatic stakes. Gabriel from Celestial Accounting literally put it in the official record that continents would catch on fire. The creator's response? Basically, fire is a feature, not a bug.
Moving right along to Section 2, Biosphere and Taxonomic Terrorism, Deploying the Life Forms.
So once the planetary baseline was somewhat stable, it was time to deploy the biology. But this delicate ecosystem was almost instantly plagued by executive meddling. Gabriel was absolutely horrified to discover the creator blew a huge chunk of the angelic resource budget deploying exactly 350,000 distinct species of beetles. The justification? Simply because they were, quote, shiny.
But the ultimate example of development chaos has to be Incident Report 47, the platypus. According to the leak, this wasn't even a planned species. It was a drunken, late-night mistake by junior angel interns. They were combining random genetic templates at 3 a.m., added venom and electroception just for a laugh, and hit compile. And instead of deleting it, management thought it was hilarious and shipped 10,000 units directly to Australia.
Which brings us to Section 3, Human Hardware, Design Flaws, Overengineered and Poorly Optimized.
Let's take a look at you, Homo sapiens. A quick teardown of your bipedal hardware reveals it is absolutely riddled with legacy code. The vertical spine, it was originally designed for quadrupeds, which pretty much guarantees back pain. The status fix won't fix, they'll invent chiropractors. Then you've got the retina, which is installed backwards, so light has to pass through blood vessels first. Total legacy code. And honestly, the most terrifying part, they went with a critical single point of failure cardiovascular pump. Just one heart, no backups.
And these design choices get even worse in practice. In theory, you'd obviously want separate tubes for breathing and eating, to prevent accidental death. The engineering team begged for this, but in practice, management quite literally prioritized aesthetics over safety. They insisted that separate tubes looked like a fish. So they forced a shared tube, created a massive choking hazard, and basically left it to the users to eventually invent a patch, which we now know as the Heimlich maneuver.
All right, Section 4, the free will software update, the ultimate core feature.
Despite all those glaring hardware issues, the most controversial feature in the entire project was pushed directly to the human neocortex, free will. The pitch document defines this as the core feature enabling genuine moral choice and authentic creativity. The creator's logic was simple but profound. Without the ability to choose wrong, choosing right means absolutely nothing. But as we know, that freedom comes at the cost of incredible stupidity.
Unsurprisingly, the QA beta test for free will showed wildly mixed results. On the plus side, humans created sublime art, deep philosophy, and the messy aspiration of democracy. But on the negative side, they utilized their massive brains to invent war, create pollution, reality television, and to passionately argue about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It got so bad that the QA department actually recommended scrapping the project and starting over with dolphins.
But the creator flat out refused, stating, "I have faith in them." The angelic board members, however, were deeply skeptical. Lucifer, in particular, pointed out a massive vulnerability. He issued a dire warning that pairing this highly volatile free will software with modern technology would be an absolute nightmare. He basically predicted that social media would weaponize human insecurity.
Let's look at Section 5,
culture, conflict, and mortality. The user experience.
So how does the user experience actually hold up when you smash together buggy hardware, highly emotional software, and total free will? Well, it leads to complete irrationality. You've got cognitive bugs like the negativity bias forcing you to perfectly remember an awkward insult from 2008. Confirmation bias builds entire echo chambers. And the spotlight effect gives you massive anxiety about your grocery store outfit. Basically, the emotional limbic system is making all the major survival and social decisions, while the frontal lobe just kind of sits there pretending to be in charge. Unfortunately, this emotional tribalism eventually scales way up. We see humans go from hitting each other with pointy sticks to utilizing iron weapons, total industrial warfare, and finally, atomic weapons. This pushes the entire free will experiment to the absolute brink, literally giving the users the capability to end their own server entirely. But here's the thing, the true defining feature of the human experience actually isn't the conflict, it's the strict timeline limit of mortality. The angels kept questioning why humans couldn't just live forever, and the answer in the document is fascinating. Infinity removes stakes. Mortality creates a background existential terror, sure, but it provides the necessary scarcity to make finite time and the connections made in that time truly precious. When the angels basically begged to remove the agonizing bug of human grief, the Creator refused. The document explains that grief is not a malfunction, it's actually the necessary price for the system's most vital feature. Without the pain of loss, there is no genuine appreciation of presence. You simply cannot have deep connection without the capacity for deep grief.
And that leads us right to Section 6, the ultimate purpose, love. Why all of this is actually worth it.
The pitch document justifies all the chaos, the bugs, and the suffering with one absolute masterpiece of a feature, love. And this was deployed in 4 distinct protocols. You have eros, which is that intense romantic desire, philia, the chosen bonds of deep friendship, storge, the unconditional affection of family, and agape, the incredibly difficult protocol of selfless universal compassion. Now, the neurochemistry driving this is brilliant, but it's constantly misunderstood by the users. Early-stage romantic love is this massive flood of dopamine, a thrilling, chaotic roller coaster that literally mimics a drug high. But you can't run a civilization on a roller coaster, right? So the system transitions into later-stage oxytocin, providing a deep, stable anchor. Users so often misinterpret this biological transition as a system failure. They think they've fallen out of love, when in reality, the software is working perfectly to build something lasting. Which finally brings us to the ultimate question the angels asked. What is the meaning of life? The pitch document reveals that the meaning of life isn't a fixed parameter at all. It's an open source variable. It's to live, experience, connect, create, learn, and find joy. The creator explicitly notes that meaning handed to you by management is hollow. The meaning you create and compile for yourself, that's what's actually real. So we've seen the leaked specs. The system is delicate, the human hardware is objectively flawed, and the emotional software is completely overwhelming. But that struggle is exactly what creates the beauty. Knowing that the bugs, the grief, and the finite timeline are all intentional parts of the design to make your time precious, what will you use your free will to create today?